Everyone.
Happy
Today
Valentine's Day.
is Wednesday, February 14th, 2018, and it is Valentine's Day. A
Yeah.
happy Valentine's Day to you and your significant other. For all you single people out there, you'll find love soon. My name is Brian. To my left is Daniel, and the other Daniel in New York.
Did somebody order a love burger?
Well done. I want to watch that movie again. I haven't seen it in a while. Danny is referring to the movie Can't Hardly Wait. I can't.
Great. Would you like to? Sorry. I won't finish
What
that.
else did they say? I'm a sex machine or something like
I
that.
am a sex machine.
Those people were way too entertained by that kid.
It was great. I love it.
Yeah, they were all about it. But I mean, how old was that? It was like where internet wasn't that cool. Like, so I guess they had to find stuff to do.
What year were you born, Danny?
86.
86.
Coming up in a minute.
You
Why?
don't know the struggles.
I do not. I've always had a computer from the longest that I can remember.
Struggles of what goes?
Typewriters.
Oh,
Then word processors.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what you're
I
talking about.
don't remember typewriters. I went to a shitty
Libraries.
elementary school, and I know we had word processors at like
Word
the first year that I was. Shut up. I know we had word processors the first year I was there, but it was only because we were a shitty elementary school.
Yeah.
We got computers like the next day or the next
Somebody
grade.
twisting your nipples when you said word processor. That's only because we had word.
No, I just had an extra amount of spit in my mouth,
Yeah.
and it was either it was gonna drool out of my mouth or I was gonna say the word really weird.
Easy.
Yeah. Coming up, stand by. Shut up.
Golden.
Shut up.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is gonna be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space,
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
we've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology, MMA Junkie Radio, commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our ace co-host. To my left, it's the fight analyst, Dan Tom, back east, handling all the producing duties, Danny Otto. What's up, guys?
Good
Not
morning,
much.
everyone.
Morning.
Morning. I walked in with some guy who was here 20 years ago when they were building this place, and he was looking for directions to Optica.
20 years ago?
Yeah.
Optica. Is that place in the little
With sunglasses?
walkway?
Yeah.
Nice people there.
Yeah, very cool. So yeah, he said I only knew it as in the construction phase, and
He hasn't been back since 20 years ago?
that's what he told me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Today we're expecting a couple co-hosts, by the way, and Askar will be on the show, as will Belal Muhammad. And you're more familiar with Belal Muhammad's name, obviously, because he's fought about a half dozen times in the UFC. Askar is undefeated, same fight camp. And Malky Kawa, manager to the stars like John Jones, Yo Romero, Tyron Woodley, Demetrius Johnson. Some really, really great fighters under his stable. First round management. He'll join us as well. So the first two guys will be in studio with us hanging and, talking about the latest news.
I think this guy's going to get bounced right now.
Think so?
Yeah. They keep coming back here.
For him?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. What if it's going to get aggressive? Or if it'll go down smoothly?
Where they fight?
Oh, they're laughing it up. Okay. No big deal.
No one's fighting over sleeping spots?
Damn. Oh, yeah, we tend to get them there.
Yeah, I noticed that, too.
And there's some people in deep sleep. Yeah.
There's a lady that looked like she was having a rough start to the Valentine's Day when I came in this morning.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there.
You lucked out, huh? You don't got to do nothing.
No.
Still got to do something? Delayed Valentine's Day?
Maybe when she comes back, but it'll just be a dinner or whatever. And we're not too lovey-dovey, I guess, when it comes to that type of stuff. She does go out of the way with the cards or whatever. So if she's in California, it will get acknowledged. But, yeah, how about you?
She doesn't believe in Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm. How about you?
I don't really care, but hearing other people talk about what they're doing kind of made me go, oh, man, I kind of wish I was doing something. So I just did like a little thing. I think maybe we'll probably eat something later, but not much.
What do you mean you did a little thing?
In the morning, I went to the house early.
Okay.
You did a bad thing.
No, damn, Tom.
Sorry.
And
did you prepare her breakfast?
No.
She prepared it for you?
No, she doesn't eat. It's a weird schedule that she has. So
right.
She has what she considers dinner at 3 a.m. So she doesn't eat again until, because she worked last night.
Okay.
So when she comes home, she doesn't eat anything. The next time she'll eat is like 5 p.m. and that's her breakfast.
Mm. You went over with balloons and flowers, didn't you? No? Okay. So
I had a little game.
Oh, a game. Okay.
Yeah.
How about you? You're single still?
Single still, but it's probably for the better.
Are you dusting off the contacts? See maybe someone out there is a single Valentine like yourself?
But you wouldn't
be able to do anything, huh? Even if a girl says, "Come over, let's get down," like
that's
the
stomach
muscles, the staples.
Yeah,
you ain't having it.
Yeah, no
matter who it is.
Without what's that?
No matter who it is.
Well, there are some names I'm sure
some exceptions
goes with Python hypothetical out there
with the car running, take them to the hospital. They're there.
And yeah, no. Hey, I'm no sourpuss. Love is definitely in the air. But fortunately, you know what? I am single, like George said, because man, this is a busy week for Dan Tom, and like you said, on top of a busy week for Dan Tom, I couldn't do much anyways, like you said, with as far as surgery, even going out and having a drink and just hanging out with friends on a single night would be out of the equation. So.
You want to let them know one by one? We'll start with Belal.
Okay.
All right. So Belal Muhammad's walking in right now, and we'll pop in here, see what he's all about, see if he's a Valentine's guy or not, and we'll continue here. So same thing as usual. 866-522-2846 is the number to call in. We'll chat about whatever y'all want. We're still putting UFC 221 to bed.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we have an interesting poll, a Twitter poll, that we want to run by y'all. And it concerns UFC 221. Yo Romero defeated Luke Rockhold. And he's basically got the next shot at Robert Whittaker's undisputed title. Now, it wasn't smooth sailing. He went to Australia. He didn't make weight, but he did get the KO. And so here we are, right away. Brad Okamoto from ESPN.com asked Dana White, so what are we doing here, And Dana White said, no, Yo Romero gets the next shot. And, of course, the Twitter sphere kind of started tripping. No, man, it should be Jacare. Right. No, man, it should be Gastelum. No, man, it should be Weidman. And it went on, and so we decided to do a Twitter poll. And, with all the calls we've been taking, with our input, people we bump elbows with, we just wanted to see what everyone's thinking and have some collective discussion. On the Twitter poll, you can only choose a name, but still, if you want to call in and participate, it's 866-522-2846, and we'll address more of that not only throughout the show, but at the end of the show. All right, so I want to welcome to the show UFC welterweight Belal Muhammad. What's up, Belal?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
Good. How about you?
Good. I'm fine. Happy to be here, man. It's cool.
Yeah, no, great to have you here.
Thank you.
And you brought your partner over there, Askar. He'll join us pretty soon as well.
Yeah.
He's from the same fight camp as you, Rufus-Sport?
Yeah, we're both at Rufus-Sport right now. We this is actually like our year anniversary of moving down there.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was usually training in Chicago under like Lewis Taylor, but we had like small gyms, small guys over there. Then we used to go to Rufus-Sport probably like once a week. But now we went there full time, got an apartment down there. So it's really cool just to have a full-time camp, full-time head coaches and stuff.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's still funny to me how Chicago hasn't come up with a major gym where like a hub, you know? Because we'll talk to Ricardo Lamas. He's down in Miami at MMA Masters. We'll talk to Clay Guida. He's at Team Alpha Male. He was at Jackson's before. You know, and Felice Herrig, she's down with the current team. You know?
Yeah.
And I always thought, wow, I wonder if just one day it's gonna happen. You know, Miami's got their ATT, and LA's got the Black House gym back in the day.
Yeah.
King's MMA. They've had a fair share of them, or whatever. New York's got Henzo's, but something about Chicago, it's just people spread out. Maybe it's the weather, or maybe the city's so big that it just wouldn't be as convenient as one thinks. You know, maybe it's
honestly it's big on head coaches. I think a lot of the head coaches over there have big egos where they don't let you cross train. Like my head coach over there was Lewis Taylor, and he was the type where you had to learn from different coaches. You got to go see different looks. But then I'll go to different gyms and I'll tell them, hey, you guys want to come over to my gym? And then they'll be like, no, we're not allowed to go to different gyms. We're not allowed to cross train. And I'm like, you guys, nobody's ever going to get any better if you guys are just sticking in your small group, only seeing the same guys every single day. But that's the biggest thing, is just like having an ego, and the coach is saying, oh, I'm the best coach. What do you need to go see another coach for? I can teach you everything you need to know.
Insecurities?
Yeah, a lot of insecurities over there.
So you don't have a fight booked as of right now, right? The last thing we can talk about is your win over Timmy.
Yeah, I don't have anything booked right now. I'm hoping to get on the Chicago card. That was a big thing. Yeah, I was looking to try to get on in April, but then when I saw they announced the Chicago card, that was the biggest deal. I mean, United said I never fought in Chicago, and I haven't fought in Chicago in a while since I never actually fought in Illinois in general. I usually fought in Indiana. So this is my first time fighting in Illinois. Hopefully, if I get on it.
But you're healthy. Has it been because they just haven't given you an offer to fight, or?
I actually had meniscus surgery.
Okay.
Yeah, so I tore my meniscus in the Tim Means fight. So so I heard it. So I've been out. I was actually probably still training a little bit for like a month because we smashed knees. So I was thinking it was just a normal knee smash, that it would be okay, it's just a bruise or something like that. But then I was still training for like a month after that, after the fight, and it was still hurting, still painful. So I ended up just going to get an MRI, and they said it was torn, so I needed to just get it. I just cut it out, scoped it out. So right now I'm back to like 100% now. Now that I'm back over here, I did my. That's why I came here, just to do a final week of rehab at the institute, and it was cool just to get everything done now.
You like the institute?
Man, yeah. I didn't know. Like I fought in Vegas once, so I went to the institute a couple times just to see use the cage and stuff like that. But seeing the strength conditioning, the rehab, everything they have over there, all the science they have. Like I just got off the treadmill for like 45 minutes where they wanted to test what am I burning when I'm running? Am I burning carbohydrates? Am I burning fats? So that's what I need to eat more of, type thing like that. And I didn't even know science did that type of thing, where it'll tell me.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, you don't need to eat as much carbs. Your body's burning carbs, so eat more carbs when you work out. Or your body's burning fat, so you don't eat as much carbs. Eat more fats, because that's what your body's using when you work out. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Eat more fats than carbs before workout.
That's what the test is telling me. Like, say if I'm like when I'm working out, am I burning more carbs or am I burning more fats? That's what it's like. They have a machine you put on your face, and it just tests your breathing and your molecules that you're exhaling and stuff like that. And you go for like 45 minutes, and it'll say, all right, you're using all your carbs for energy, or you're using all your fats for energy. So, like, say if I'm normally I'm sitting there like, you have all these fad diets that say, okay, go on an Atkins diet where you don't eat carbs, or eat more fats. It's better for you. Everybody's different. Everybody's body burns different things. So, like for me, he said where he just did a test. So he said he's gonna come up with the statistics and tell me what I need to start eating more of, how to make my diet easier on myself. So if I'm sitting there going, I need to go on a low carb diet, and he says, well, your body's burning more carbs when you're working out, so you need more carbs. So eat higher carbs. So it's all different. So that's what the science is gonna tell me.
Wow. What are you hoping he tells you need to eat more of?
I'm hoping he's telling me I could eat more carbs, man, because I'm a big bread guy, man. Coming from a Middle Eastern background. Middle Easterners, we have bread for everything, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I'm hoping he says, all right, yeah, it'll be cool.
It's funny. It's great to see you here, like lively, smiling, talking, because fight week, you're a serious
Yeah.
individual.
Yeah, I like to snap into it fight week, man. I sit there not like the people around me, like my mom, my dad. They'll be like, "You're a whole different person fight week," and they'll think I'm mad at them, but it's just mostly just staying in the zone. Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick story. After your first fight, remind me who your first fight was. I know
Joe
it was
Ban.
here, right?
Yeah, Joe Ban.
It was here at the new T-Mobile, and afterwards, I had to take Derek Lewis back. I think it was that day. Lewis, the big man,
Yeah,
he co-hosted with us, and so I had to take him back to Monte Carlo. No, it was to Monte Carlo for sure, because he stayed at the Monte Carlo.
Yeah, I stayed at the Monte Carlo.
And so it was early. You probably went home on Monday. I think he stayed.
Yeah.
And so as I'm dropping him off, I say, all right, see you, Derek, and as I'm going, I see you, and it looks like you're headed to the airport. But even in the losing effort, I wanted to tell you, fuck, like, we've been doing this for 10 years, so we know what a loss is. We know what a quality loss is. We know what a debut can be like when you just knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Obviously, you go in, win, knockout, bonuses, all that. And then, so there's different levels, and you really look dejected. I remember you were walking, you were kind of hanging your head down, and we had you on the show, and I said, Belal, I was still in my car, and I go, hey, I'm George with MMA Junkie. I just want to tell you, man, it was a great debut, Keep your head up, you'll be all right, and you just went, thanks, man, like that. I could just tell you were dejected. And so I still got the no smile Belal, the serious Belal before the show, and then obviously the intense Belal inside the cage. And here you're like a teddy bear, you're smiling. So this is completely different from me. But I could feel your sorrow, just how disappointed you were, and that's what made me a fan, because I love them guys that they wear it on their sleeve, that it means something to them. It's not just the paycheck, it's not just the fame or anything like that. It's the competition. It's wanting to be the best. And to me, you look like you were that type of guy that you want to be a world champion.
Yeah, it was big for me, especially like when you got people like fans and stuff making fun of like Daniel Cormier and stuff when he cried after losing to John Jones. I mean, like, even when fighters do it, that's what pisses me off the most, because fighters know what they put into it. Like you know what we all put into it. You know how much work we put into it. Like even when like Chase Sherman, when they made in front of
I knew you were
Rock
gonna bring that up.
I'm like we're both in the same business. So he's been knocked out before too. So you know how it feels. So you know where Rockhold is right now in his career. So why are you gonna sit there and go on Twitter, and you have a lot of followers and making fun of them, and have the fans egg him on and making fun of him too? Because you know what we put into this. We literally put our lives into this, man. You have to be dedicated fully. And Rocco's that type too, where he's fighting for a world title, man. Not a lot of guys get to fight for a world title, and then you lose on that stage. It's big, man.
Yeah. So what Belal's talking about, Chase Sherman, I think he said, caption this was a tweet of his, the UFC heavyweight, and it's when Rockhold is against the cage, he's basically recovered, and Romero is giving him the whole kiss and hey, whatever he's saying to him, respect or you'll be back. I don't know. And so as he's doing it, Rockhold's turning, and I think Romero's kissing his cheek. So he says, "Caption this." Now I'm gonna tell you guys something. When I looked at it, I wanted to see what the responses were, but I also wondered how this is gonna go over. And did you see Dustin Poirier?
Yeah.
He came strong at Chase Sherman.
Yeah, there were a lot.
Or were there others too?
Yeah, and a lot of memes have come out because of it and all that. And I understand where Yoel was coming from, but I think this has happened a few times now where he needs to kind of just give a person their space. Not everybody takes everything the same way, and I understand respect, but maybe leave it at that. There was a little bit too much. You could just tell Luke wasn't having it. He just got knocked out, and I think maybe he should have backed off a little bit.
Yeah.
So Yoel's probably one of the nicest guys in the world, though. Like I met Yoel a couple times, and like he never even knew me, but he just came up to me, kissed me on the cheek, just super cool guy. So like I understand where he's coming from. But like just for like and Chase Sherman, he was just wrong for doing something like that. Like you already know Yoel wasn't doing it to make fun of him or doing anything. Yoel was just being nice, man. He felt bad that he beat him. He's that type of guy.
Right.
Can I ask you something about what you just said that not a lot of people knew you? When you first started coming on our show, we knew about you. We told a lot of people, watch out for this guy. Did you like those days when maybe some of your opponents even really didn't know too much about you, and you kind of can go under the radar and then just blow up the way, or do you like the way it is now, where now people know who you are?
I mean, I liked it before just because I have a lot of opponents. I fought Chris Curtis before, and at the time I think I was like 6-0, and he was probably like 11-1 or something like that. And he would like doing all these interviews and he was saying, "Yeah, I'm not gonna gain anything from beating this guy. I'm gonna go in there, beat the scrub." And
you were the scrub?
Yeah, I was a scrub.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was a scrub. I was only 6-0, and he was like talking so much trash. And I was like, I never even met this guy in my life, and he's sitting there saying, this is gonna be the easiest fight in the world. This is pathetic. I don't like all of his interviews. I want to get into the UFC, but I'm not gonna get it off beating this guy. So I'm just gonna take this quick win and then leave. And I'm like, how could you talk that much trash about somebody you don't even know? So I went in there and beat him, and then it got me to the point where, like, in the third round, I had his back, and I got mad because I was sitting there, like, slapping him in the back of his head, just trying to get the crowd amped up, just because they were all my family and everybody's hearing it. Like, why is this guy talking trash about you? So, like, it pissed me off to the point where, like, I could probably finish him in a fight, but I just had his back, and I just started slapping him, and then looking to the crowd and, like, laughing. And it, like,
Who's the scrub now?
Yeah, it was, like, something like that. And then, like, I had a lot of people from Indiana like, we didn't know you were that type of person, like making fun of people and stuff. I was like, nah. I was like, if a guy's going to talk trash to me, I'm not going to just get disrespected. And I had my whole family and everybody there watching me. And you're going to tell people, I'm going to slap this scrub or this guy's pathetic or a loser. I'm like, I'm not going to let somebody talk about me like that. But it's really cool now just because I'll go different places and I'll see like people from different countries like, oh my God, we're a huge fan. We love you here and stuff like that. And I never expected that type of thing before.
You didn't whisper in Curtis's ear, remember the name?
No, I was like, cause
what's up now, partner?
I had his back, and then at the weigh-ins, he like did this, like he was gonna slap me. Yeah. So like literally, I had his back, and I just kept doing this, slapping him in the back of his head, and I was like, yeah, who's a bitch now? And just talking trash to him, and I was like, I'm really not that type of person. Like I'm about respect and like MMA. I'm about that point where I don't like to talk trash or anybody during the fight. Like I'll talk before just to build up a fight or anything like that. But if you don't know somebody, don't disrespect them like that.
Did he say anything to you after the fight?
No, he got up super pissed. Like the cops had to come in and break it up because after the fight, like I got up.
Fight?
Yeah, after the fight, all the crowd started going crazy and stuff like that. And then he tried to come at me again after the fight, after I got my hand raised and everything like that, giving me the middle finger and stuff. But I was just like laughing it off. But then like he went to the crowd, and then like my brothers and everybody were in the crowd, like giving him the middle finger and stuff. Like he was gonna go in the crowd and like fight them too. So like it was bad after that.
Wow, you have a family of fighters?
Not a family of fighters, just a family that supports me a lot. Like I have 4 brothers, so they're all going hard. Like at every single fight I'm at. So when I fight,
shit?
yeah,
all 4 of them.
Yeah, so like
that's awesome.
I'll train them like at UFC gym and like just show them different things. They'll always want to learn. Like my older brother right now, he's like, oh dude, give me a pro fight, give me a pro fight. And I'm like, dude, I just hope mitts for you. You're not ready for a pro fight yet, but he's at that point where he sees me all the time. Like I have him in my corner sometimes, and he just wants to feel that too, where he wants to get in the cage. He's like, just give me an amateur fight. I don't care. I just want to fight.
What about the other ones?
The other ones train it, but they're not. They don't want to fight yet. They just do it for fun.
They're younger.
Yeah, they're younger.
So you're the second of 5.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But they travel to your fights.
Yeah, they go to every single one of my fights.
If you fight in Chicago, you'll have.
Yeah, man.
4 Muhammad brothers, they're rooting you on.
Yeah, Chicago, I have a big community of people behind me, man. It's like a big Palestinian, Middle Eastern community in Chicago, so it's huge over there, man. And just the people that are all begging to see me fight, so it'll be huge to be in Chicago.
What about friends and family? You know,
yeah.
When you tell them what you wanted to do, it's probably a little different. How did they take it? And then when your brothers say, I kind of want to do that too, have they warmed up to it a little?
Not really. Like my mom's, after every single one of my fights, my mom's like, so are you done yet? So is that good enough? And then like my grandmother would be like, so how many more until you're done? And I'm like, I don't know yet. So like they're at the point where my mom's starting to accept it now. Before she would be like, all right, please be done. Go, what's it called? Be a lawyer. That's what you want to do. You want to be a lawyer. So just be a lawyer again. Or like I have cousins that like are like doctors or something, like graduated now. It's like, be more like him. Be more like him.
This is sounding a lot very familiar.
It is.
Him and I are brothers.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we hear a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. He has a family of fighters. Like every single one of his brothers is a fighter, amateur fighter. Yeah. So it's cool to see from his family accepting it too.
By the way, that fight was at MGM.
Oh, the fight? No, but he was staying at Monte Carlo.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't at T-Mobile, but I just know that I dropped him off at Monte Carlo because I think it was Lewis I dropped off, and Belal was walking to the sedan or the van or whoever.
That was probably one of the loudest moments of that night in that arena. Was that fight, man.
Yeah, it was one of those where Lewis always told me, man, you gotta take it all in after the fight, and he's like, you didn't take that fight in. After just see that the crowd, like the same way you said, we said you lost, but the crowd loved you after that. And I was one of those where I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's one of those where the first impression is obviously important, but your style of fights is going to speak about yourself over time. And there's just going to be it's either going to go over with the fans or it's not. And sometimes it can be immediate, sometimes it can take a while. And I'll give you the example. We log on, and let's just say for 2 hours we've been talking other stuff. And all of a sudden we hit refresh and go, well, what's the latest news? And when you see Belal Muhammad versus, right away you go, oh, like, it's that look that people give fist bump, or oh, that's what I'm talking about. It's that reaction. You know what I mean? Certain fighters have it, and then others you log on and go, oh yeah, that's cute. No big deal. No, whatever. I mean, because they haven't given that to you. You know, they haven't shown you that you should get excited about it.
Yeah.
You know, and you're one of those gamers, man. You know, I mean. Tim Means is another guy. Another guy is pretty intense. And so I get excited. But I don't care about wins and losses as much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to you guys.
Yeah.
It's important for your success. It's important for the UFC. I get that. And a lot of fans, they want to ride. You know, they think it's going to be like boxing where 38-0 is going to fight 37-1.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to happen, man. MMA is just – it's not like that. It's hard to get to that point. You know? It's so competitive, 4-ounce gloves, but still, it's the way he performed. Joe Lazon. Now, Joe Lazon's not even a guy that throws hands as much, but he just goes after it on the ground, you know? And I mean, like I was telling him the other day, man, just as we were closing down the interview, I was like, body lock, you know, to mount. I just love how he picks someone up and throws them down, and right away he's just looking to advance his positions and go for submissions. And so I'll always be a Joe Lazon fan, whether he wins or he loses. He got me from day one.
One of the most exciting guys, You saw? I think I saw something. Was it something earlier today that somebody's testicle or something like that? One of his teammates, something like that, ruptured somebody's testicle.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it was something like Joe Lozon, his teammate, gets testicle ruptured in practice, and he has to go to like surgery. I was like, what?
Ruptured?
Yeah, I was like, that does not sound good.
I picture a guard pass and a cup being involved in that. I
don't know why, but that's what I just. Yeah, I read that. I was like,
who was it that had a testicle go up in them? Was it in a Crow Cop fight? Was it Crow Cop himself? Or he kicked somebody?
It was Crow Cop. Wasn't Crow Cop? I thought somebody did that.
But somebody once at the testicle had lodged. I've never heard of rupture. It's like almost like it exploded. It sounds like.
At that point, it's yours. I don't know that I want it back at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that sounded painful. I was like, wow, that looks bad.
Hey, we got to take a quick commercial, and then we also want to talk to your partner over there. I saw him at Extreme Couture, getting down. But we always ask the fans, the in-studio guests, can you share a good street fight story? Can you share a good one with us?
Yeah, I got a good one with you. Cause when I was younger, I used to play basketball all the time, so I'll go to the gym playing basketball.
Game?
I used to love basketball. Yeah, I used to play all the time. So
what was your position?
I used to play point guard.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll play basketball all the time, like at the gym or something like that afterward. And then me and my brothers, we're the most competitive people. Like you see, I'm very competitive. Like say if I go to just a tournament or something like that, if I get second place, I'm leaving. I'm not getting my medal or anything like that. Like same thing when I wrestled, I wouldn't stay for the medal or anything like that. But like I always talk trash when I'm playing basketball.
Wait, let me bust your balls a little though. Is that being competitive, or are you bordering on sore loser?
Both, right there. I'm at the edge.
You didn't stay for medals? I mean, you're proud of a second place, right? That's not bad.
Yeah, I'm just that type of person where I'm like, I'm not gonna take a picture for second place. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah.
Right. I hope nobody's setting him up on Valentine's Day, right? You bring the wrong girl, you ghost.
But we were playing basketball and just sitting there talking trash with other guys playing ball, and then some guy he followed me, and then I'm sitting there like, it's all good, and he's like, man, I'm about to hit you if you bump me again. And then
he fouled you.
Yeah, he fouled me, and he said because he said I was going to hold too hard.
Okay.
So then he said if you bump me again, I'm gonna hit you. And it's like probably like a 300-pound guy, so he's pretty big. Mm-hmm. And I have like a little buddy with probably like little man syndrome, where that little friend that always ready to fight no matter what. And then right away when he said that, my little friend hit him right in the face.
Really?
Yeah. He didn't wait or anything.
Right? Like a little Jack Russell Terrier.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. You say it like he literally has that little man syndrome where he's starting to fight. Like we'll go anywhere, and he knows that I'm with him, so he knows that I have his back no matter what.
Oh, by the way, was this Belal? This is when you were little though, right?
This is pre MMA. Yeah, this is probably when I was like 18.
You had fighting skills.
Yeah,
like
18. Yeah, I mean I'm from Chicago, so I had a lot of street fights.
Okay.
But yeah, so I had his back. So then he hit him, and then I was a wrestler, so I picked him up, slammed him, and I'm hitting him, and then my friends ran off. He's gone because the security came in. So the security guard is grabbing me off him, holding me, and he's like, "Yeah, you're going to go to jail type thing. You're going to get arrested." And then we're at a public gym, so we waited for the cops to get there. Once the cops got there, they asked the guy, the fat guy, they asked him, "Are you going to press charges? We're gonna take him in, press charges, come down to the police station." He's like, no, my mom's a cop, so I know what it goes through. So I'm not gonna let him get arrested, man. Just let him go, But then he looked at everybody else in the gym that was on his team. It was literally like a pickup game. So he looked at everyone and he's like, "How you guys gonna let them jump me like that? How you guys gonna let?" They're like, "Dude, we don't even know you. Why we care?" So it was just funny like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so he did the striking, you did the rest.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, but you done fucked up, and I'm gonna tell you
made
why.
A mistake, Bilal.
You made a mistake. Usually it's like one and thank you. You said I've gotten in a bunch. Give me another one.
Well, I went to like a city school in Chicago.
In Chicago, I love
Yeah,
it.
so it was one of those where like I probably had all my brothers went to the same school as me, and I had a lot of cousins that went to the same school.
Okay.
So like we were all hanging together, stuff like that.
Are you north side or south side?
South side.
Okay, well that's the rougher area. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's very rough. And then one of my buddies, like one of my best friends, he was on the football team, and he got like jumped by a bunch of the football players on the team.
His own teammates.
Yeah, his own teammates. It was just gangs and stuff like that. They just didn't like him.
Damn.
Yeah,
They were Raiders?
Huh?
They were the Raiders.
And then they jumped him, and then one of them like kicked him in the head with his cleat on.
God damn.
Yeah, yeah. So his head got like split open. He needed to get like stitches and stuff like that.
To a teammate, man. For one, let's just say there is beef, but if you're on the team, it's because you love football.
Yeah.
You're pretty much risking playing. Like I see it.
Yeah.
A lot of dumb mistakes here, but go ahead.
Yeah. So
that's not the kicker, right?
Yeah, really.
So then so he came home, and then like he told everybody about it. So the next day, probably like literally all our cousins, family, everybody like that, like the younger guys, we went to the school, and we literally had like a brawl with the whole football team. It's probably like 20 guys against like 30 guys.
There was 20 Muhammad in the Muhammad clan?
Yeah.
Against the football team?
Yeah, against the football team. So then it was just basically a big brawl out there. And
did you wait for practice to end so they didn't have their helmets and shoulder pads?
It was during school. It was one of those where we pulled the fire alarm. So we know once the fire alarm goes off, everybody has to go outside.
You guys are gangsters. Pull the fire alarm?
Yeah, well, I didn't pull the fire alarm, but we just had somebody pull the fire alarm.
Were you guys waiting for them when they came out?
Yeah, once they came out, because a lot of the guys that we brought didn't go to school. So a lot of the guys were out of school already. So a lot of them were probably like 20, 30 years old. And they're just family, so they're going to have our back no matter what. So they all came, and then once all the kids came outside, the football team's all hanging together right by the parking lot. So then we all just started rushing over there, and it's just a brawl.
How'd it go?
Well, we won. Yeah, we won. We had a lot of guys, and then, we were outside of school, so a lot of our guys came with bats, freaking.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wait, you guys hooligans?
You kicked them in the head with a cleat on, man. That's bad, and it's one guy, and he got jumped, man.
And he got jumped.
Gangs of Chicago. Gangs of Chicago.
That's a football
Yeah.
game.
That it? Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do if you were one of the football guys? Do you kind of just do one of these and then later on go, hey, man, I thought there was a fire. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Oh man, I mean, if I see bats, I mean, I guess that's a good question. I mean, you feel like there's a brotherhood amongst the team, and if you're at football, you're pretty tough, and I guess you're there for a certain amount of time, but
they're
the
like
minute
16, 17. Now they got a reputation. People know who the Muhammads are. You run the other way, dog.
Dude, I just hate those full like melees like that because you're always getting hit with the shot that's not meant for you, and those are always the worst shots.
Yeah,
Like,
those are the worst shots you ever have, man.
What was your record that day?
I probably 7-0. 7-0.
Yeah.
So you got like performance of the night bonus.
Yeah.
What are the other 19 doing?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I'm one of those.
There's 30. You took out 7. That means the other 18 only had to cope with 23.
See the character in
Even
Gangs
the
of New York
odds
has got a notch on his bat too. He's like,
Yeah.
for every guys.
All right, so I wanted to ask you one more question. Let's take this quick break, though. I don't want a producer to have a heart attack. He's back east. He's handling all the producing
I'll do
duties.
Look how fast he hit the
His name's Danny Otto. He's great, and but we got to do this. Let's do this quick break, and then I'll ask you one more question, and then we got to bring Oscar on here. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. Belal Muhammad in the house.
charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Start your day with SiriusXM. Enable the SiriusXM skill on your Amazon device. Then tell Alexa to set an alarm for your favorite channel, and you'll wake up to the sounds of SiriusXM. With SiriusXM and Alexa, you can get the latest sports news each morning without picking up your phone or turning on the TV. All right, we kept Belal here just a couple extra minutes because I want to involve him in a question that we put out there in the Twitter sphere in regards to who should be next for the undisputed champion, Robert Whittaker. Now, let me set things up here. This past Saturday, Yoel Romero defeated Luke Rockhold. Not for the interim belt. Only Rockhold was eligible because Romero disqualified himself by not making weight. However, he went out there. They still had a fight, and Romero knocked him out in the third round. Dana White has already said he's next. Others have a problem with it. Let me throw some other names out there. Jacare Souza. He's coming off a big win as well this past January 27th over Derek Brunson. He's been a long-time great performer in the middleweight division, former Strikeforce champion. Kelvin Gastelum coming off a win over the former champion Michael Bisping in Shanghai. I believe that's where that took place. And then we have Chris Weidman, former champion, who defeated Kelvin Gastelum in Long Island this past summer. I feel like there's those four names out there. And quick update, you're saying Romero is still leading that charge, right, Dan?
By 68%, we have 1,400 votes total. And, yeah, Yoel Romero is in the lead over Ronaldo Souza, who's currently at 7%, Chris Weidman 13%, and Kelvin Gastelum 12%.
Who do you think should be next?
I think it should be Yoel Romero. I agree with the listeners who also are saying in the comment section, which they can also comment, that Chris Weidman should be the common name as far as the next #1 contender match for what that's worth.
What about you, Goes?
It came down to Yoel Romero or Jacare for me. Both of them had their shot, but one was more impressive in their shot. I think he deserves it more. That's Yoel Romero.
Belal, how about you? Let's get your take from a fellow fighter.
I would say Yoel. Him and Yoel had a really good fight the first time, and I would say like Jacare Weidman, #1 contender spot would be really good.
Yeah.
Both in a fight.
Yeah, and so my take is, look, it's just kind of an elimination process. Both of them recently had a fight within the past year against Robert Whittaker. Jacare lost to him this past April, or 2017. Got finished. Yoel Romero only decisioned. They both came back with impressive wins. Yoel's was just a little bit more impressive. And if you go back 3 years or so, Yoel defeated Jacare. I mean, there's these little tiebreakers along the way that sometimes make a difference. It just seems like also when you're the last person to fight, you can make that last impression, and I think that's what was made this past Saturday. Now, a lot of you will say, but what about the fact that he didn't make weight? Should he get penalized? Look, I looked up Romero's salary for when he fought Whittaker here in Vegas. He made $350,000. If they taxed 30% of that and gave it to Luke Rockhold, well, guess who just lost on $105,000? That's pretty painful itself. He didn't get a belt. I think he paid the penalty, and plus he was also moving up his fight 2 weeks. And so you got to take that into consideration. I feel like Yoel has already paid for it, and so I agree. I think it should be Yoel Romero. Chris Weidman took out Gastelum, so I think he's next out of those two. But Jacare definitely has a strong case. But I like the idea of Jacare and Weidman for the next shot. So there you have it. That's how we feel about it here with Belal Muhammad, Goes, myself, and Dan. All right, Belal, the last thing I want to ask you, and then we got to turn it over to your partner, Askar, over there, is are you Muslim?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask you, I know that this is a difficult question. For Muslims, it's difficult to be in this country. What about as a Muslim fighter, is it difficult being in the sport of mixed martial arts?
For me, no, it's really not. I'm like a lot of the companies I fought for so far, I've only fought for like 3. And they've been really respectful to me, and the UFC's taking care of me really good.
The fans?
The fans. Like, you'll have a couple like on social media call you something stupid, terrorist, something stupid like that. Okay. But it's just those guys with like one follower or something. Just they'll literally make an account just to talk trash for no reason.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm like, it's one of those where I have a lot more good fans than bad fans, so I'll take that.
Yeah. No, I've seen a lot of African American fans that have taken the same thing. They get tossed many things that way, what I mean? Same with Asian fighters, and I was wondering how it was for a Muslim fighter.
Yeah, but it's getting big now with I think the UFC probably has like 70 Muslims on their roster now, so it's getting huge now, and I'll get like especially a lot of Russian fans from all over the world will sit there because a lot of the Dagestani guys are Muslim, so I'll get a lot of their fans and everybody just coming just supporting me just because they know I'm Muslim, so it's huge that way.
Also, like in your post-fight speeches, you're really good about kind of waving the flag, not just your own personal flag, which you have every right to wave, but just for kind of all minorities. Like you're all kind of stepping up for the smaller guy. I noticed that too. Which I'm sure makes you a lot of fans as well.
Yeah, I get a lot of people like that saying, "Oh, thank you for being a voice for us." So it's really huge like that.
It's been really cool having you, getting to meet you here in person. On the phone, it's a different dynamic, but man, you really have a great personality. I can't wait for your next fight. Is there something cooking? Is there a name out there that who you like to fight in Chicago?
I mean, we got a list. I got probably I make a list, probably like 7 guys that I sit there and make more sense for me to fight. And then so I have a couple names that I'm looking at and I'm thinking about.
Who are those names?
Well, I'm hoping to see the winner of the Mike Perry fight. I'm hoping Mike Perry wins.
There you go. That's
I like that one. And then Nico Price is another name that's out there too that I like. And then I really wanted the Yancey and Cerrone winner, but I don't know how that one's gonna go because we know it now, guys nowadays. Oh, if you're not ranked, I'm not gonna fight you. You're not higher than me. I'm sitting there like the ranked. I think messed that up. You used to be in the old days where if a guy's streaking, you're gonna fight another guy that's streaking. So that makes more sense nowadays, guys. Oh, I'm 7. I'm not gonna fight somebody that's 9, or I'm 15. Why am I gonna fight you if you're not ranked? Like, it makes no sense now. Guys are not fighting because.
Or back in the old days, that guy's a scrub. What's he gonna do for me?
Yeah, they get the slap.
They get the slap. That's right. Jeez. Hey man, again, you did a great job. Honestly, thank you so much. Anytime you're in Vegas, let us know. We'd love to have you back. Thank you again.
Appreciate you guys
for co-hosting, and good luck in getting any of those fights. I think that'd be great for you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you guys.
All right, so that's Belal Muhammad. We're gonna take our small break here. When we come back, we'll talk to Askar, who is also in town, undefeated fighter, fighting out of the Rufus Sport Gym, excuse me. And we'll talk to him when we come back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93.
No.
They pat down TSA agents because they don't know where those people have been, and because they can. They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Valentine's Day is a time to sing about the ones that you love, and today you can on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Be part of fantasy karaoke by calling in and singing your favorite love song and hearing the best and worst from across the country. Get the call-in number by listening to Sirius 210 XM87 or by finding Fantasy Sports Radio on Sirius XM app. Fantasy karaoke throughout this Valentine's Day on Sirius XM, Fantasy Sports Radio, Sirius 210, and XM87 for all you suckers out there.
You're
It's just a holiday for
right?
crying
Give
out
us a
loud.
taste, George.
Juliet, you mean the world to me? Yeah. I don't have it in me, man. It's just a day where they say, "Hey, everybody, come and get overpriced balloons and candies, and wait 2 hours or give us 2 weeks advance for a reservation." And I'm a little bitter because I think I've actually had 2 breakups on Valentine's Day and 3 vicious arguments aside from those breakups. So historically, it just hasn't been that big of a day for me.
It's pre-fight anxiety, or what is that?
I don't know, man. You think it'd be better, But anyway, I want to welcome to the show Askar. How you doing, sir? Good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. I like your sweatshirt. What's all that about?
Thank you. It's a rehab company from Chicago, actually.
Rehab?
It's pretty nice. Yeah, it's a rehab company.
That's where
from
you
Chicago.
go to.
It was. I had
a
torn what's called labrum in my shoulder before. I dislocated it, so they helped me out. It was accelerated, so they pretty much took care of me, got me back on track.
I like the thick laces.
Yeah, it's real nice. It's a nice design.
Are you 100% now from that?
Yeah, this was when I was an amateur, so like 2014, 2013. Yeah.
Now you're 6-0 as a pro.
I'm 6-0 as a pro, looking to fight hopefully either in March or April.
Nice. All right. Well, what brings you out to town is just you're here with your partner Belal. Yeah. Did you bring him out, or did he bring you out?
Basically, Belal wants to go somewhere. I'm right behind him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a duckling, basically. He says we're going to Vegas. I'm like, just tell me
like
when.
A mentor.
Honestly,
big brother?
it's just like that. It's like I'd say more of a mentor. You know what I mean? I follow his lead. I respect him a lot. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where we were just sitting down on breakfast, and he was like, I want to go to Vegas next week. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And it was like 3 days later, we just took off. We came here, checked out the UC Institute. They took care of him for his rehab, for his knee and stuff. And you know what I mean? Got to have some fun and train with the guys at Extreme Couture and stuff. So it's pretty fun.
Is he cool like that? Like, has he ever said, like, hey, I want to go here, and then when you go, let's go, does he go, who said anything about you?
I think...
Like, has he accepted you guys are kind of homies everywhere?
Honestly, I think at this point, I think we're a package. You know what I mean? Like, if Belal's going, highly likely I'm there. The only time I think I haven't been there was the Australia fight, because I had a fight around the same time, and that was heartbreaking for me. You know what I mean? Because he left, and I was just like, I was going to my fight week by myself, and he was gone, and I was like... I felt a little lost in the beginning. I was like, man, it doesn't feel like the normal fight week vibes. You know, Belal's not here.
You're from Chicago too, then?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How long have you guys known each other?
Since 2012, 2011.
Did MMA
MMA brought us
together, or
the funny
the
thing,
neighborhood, or
no, MMA did bring us together. The funny thing is, there's not a lot of Palestinian fighters out of in MMA. So I was at a gym down in Chicago called Elite Performance. I was just training there with a few of the dudes, just trying to progress my career. I think I was like a 1-0 or 2-0 amateur, and Belal was in the room sparring with some of the pros, and I decided to jump in, and we didn't exchange words or nothing. It was basically hi, and it was like spar. And I think like 2-3 weeks later, he messaged me on Facebook talking about, I'm gonna go lift if you want to come join me. Come down. It was the gym he was talking about.
Even though you didn't speak any words?
Barely anything.
Oh, wow.
Honestly. It was like hello and goodbye. And then he messaged me, and he's like, yo, you should come down to this gym. We'll lift together. We could get some work in. You know what I mean? Bilal's one of those dudes that, like, you could tell he really cares about his training partners. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of those dudes that's, like, you could tell he's a big boy. He's 190, 200 pounds. And he could go with a guy that's, like, 130 or 125 or 145, and he'll be just fine. Nobody's getting injured. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow, that's a great connection for you.
Yeah, it's crazy. No,
and no words were spoken, but yet so you must have gained his respect. Was it because you guys trained like?
He knows I'm a savage. Yeah, it was. It was. He knew he saw me spar. He knew I was a savage. He wanted to be my friend right away. But it was one of those things. We just clicked. You get those friends sometimes where you meet where you just don't know how you weren't brothers. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're like I could have sworn we should have been brothers. You know what I mean?
Were you at that high school, by the way, or this was
at his high school? No.
You were not that,
no. I wasn't a troublemaker like him like that. No, I was in the suburbs. Yeah, he was in the
You're the north side.
Yeah, I was in the north side. I was in the suburbs. You know what I mean? Nobody in the football team was fighting. No, everybody was chilling. You know what I mean? We were all relaxed. It was just parties and people partying and drinking, and that's it.
Wow. Okay. And now you went up. He said, "Let's go to Roof Sport." You said, "Let's go." You lived down there with him.
We were training at Roof Sport. Like he said, we would go into Roof Sport like once or twice a week, and it was like a 2-hour drive. And it was honestly, it was killing us with that drive because some of us would be cutting weight. and you don't want to be in a car for 2-3 hours just driving to go train, and then driving home and then hitting traffic and stuff. So one day it was funny because it was after his second UFC fight, and we were just kind of training in Chicago together, just kind of picking up practices, trying to get guys to come down to the gym, the UFC gym, just to train. So we didn't really have any real coaches. And one day I'm like, dude, if you're in the UFC, we need to make a move. We need to, you know what I mean, see if we need to maybe go to Roof Sport and stay there full time.
Yeah.
So he's like, let's do it. Let's get an apartment. Let's move down there full time. So now I'm there 7 days a week, morning and night, at the gym.
Wow. So that's 7 years of friendship, of training together.
Yeah.
After a while, I mean, I got to imagine when you guys are in front of each other, you kind of know where he's going to go. He knows what you're going to do. Does that ever not, I don't want to say does it get stale, but does it ever play games with you guys where now you're doing things opposite just to throw the other guy off?
I don't know if we're trying to throw each other off. It's like one of those things where we know each other so well. You know what I mean? Like he's always in my corner. He knows me so well. He knows what to say to me when what I need. Like if I'm losing the fight and I need to pick it up, or if I'm winning and I need to go for a finish and stuff, or if I'm on practice and I'm being lazy or something. Or same thing with him. If he needs to get an extra run in, or if we need to get some extra work in, we're always pushing each other. That's the best thing about it.
Making that move for any fighter can be pretty scary. Uprooting and moving to another city. When was the first moment at Rufus Sport where you said this was totally worth it? Do you remember anything happening like that?
Honestly, the first month. When we were training the first month and you start seeing improvement from doing mitts with Duke and Scott Cushman and doing jiu-jitsu with Daniel Wanderlei and all the guys there like Sergio Pettis, Anthony, Rafon Stouts. It was just the guys there are amazing. You know what I mean? Like the room is has such a high talent level that the only way you can get work is by getting better. You know what I mean? Like if you're there and you're working, you're gonna get better. There's no other way.
How did the team receive you guys at first? Was there a little breaking in?
In the beginning when we were just visiting once a week and stuff, you could tell there was a little bit of a void between us and all the guys there. But over time, when we're there every day, they see us every day. We're at every jits class, we're at every pro practice. They treat us like family. That's what it basically is. It's not the biggest team, so it's like, you know what I mean, a nice little family.
What's it like to train with Ben Askren? Does he still get up there?
He doesn't come there as often. I trained with him like maybe once or twice where I visited his gym. He's that guy he's on a different level. You know what I mean? He knows what he's talking about with wrestling. Right. It's honestly every time I go there, you just learn something brand new, and you're just like, I can't believe I didn't notice this before. And then you realize it's Ben Askren, so you're always gonna learn something new.
That's awesome. And Tyron Woodley goes up there from time to time. So does Paul Felder.
Paul. Yeah.
So you guys here I'm discussing a lot of lighter weight class guys up until about 170. So you mentioned the Pettis brothers.
Yeah.
Eric Koch's still goes?
Eric Koch's still there.
So that's quite a
and then we got
squad you got. Are you always all together, or do these guys break in and out of camp?
The biggest thing is it's like most of the time everybody's there. You know what I mean? Most of the time everybody's there. A few of the guys kind of I don't know if any other guys really take time off like that, but most of the guys stay in camp. You know what I mean? Some guys rev it up a little bit more, where they're coming maybe 2-3 days a week, and then when it's fight time, 8 weeks, 6 weeks out, they start pushing it a little faster. Where they're there every day. But we got guys like Gerald Mershart and Mike Biggie Rhodes out there, 85ers.
We've had him on the show as well.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't want to run out of time without asking you good street fight story out of you.
Good street fight story. Mine will be from when I was I want to say 12, maybe 13. And it was, I was in, I want to say 5th grade, 4th grade or something like that. And it was my little brother's fault. I think he was 10 or 11 at the time, and he was getting bullied. And me and him look very similar. We're almost like twins if you put us next to each other.
Like George and
I? Yeah, pretty much, right? But we're basically like twins if you put us next to each other. And he was getting bullied by this kid, and he basically it was the straw that broke the camel's back. The last day, it was the last day of school. He was mad. It was the end of it. And he went up to the kid in the bus and just blasted him in the face. He was like, I'm gonna just blast him.
Blasted the bully.
Just the bully right in the face, right hand to his jaw, and then he just took off, ran off the bus. It was exactly when the bus stopped. It was one stop away from our stop. So
I've heard of bus driver uppercut. This is the bus student right hand.
Yeah, right hand. And then he basically hit the kid and then just took off. And I didn't know. I was sitting in the back. I look up. I'm like, where's he going? I'm like, what happened? He takes off running. The kid gets off behind him. So I just go to the next stop, and I get off, and I see the kid and maybe 4 other kids chasing behind me. They coming up, they're like, where's your brother? And I was like, he went home. They're like, well, we got a problem. And the kid just tackled me. And now next thing I know, I'm getting jumped. So I'm like, self-defense. At this point, you know, obviously I'm 12, 13 years old. I don't know how to really fight back. So I'm like, I just did the only thing I know how to do. I just squeezed as tight as I can, and I just bit into the dude. Just for the self-defense. Bit into him. Bit his back.
Okay.
Bit into him. He stopped. He started screaming. His boys got off. I'm like, if you guys don't let go, I'm not letting go. You know what I mean? They got off. I was able to get up, and I was just walking home. As soon as I got home, I was so angry at my brother. I was like, you just left me out there. What are you doing?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've heard a few biting stories. Marcus Davis, he bit someone's ear and swallowed it. He went like this. Showed it to him, a little piece that hangs down right here, and showed it to him and then swallowed it. And he got a lot of street cred for that one.
I mean, if you got to do it, you got to do it, right?
Is the next fight going to be in Titan? Are you ready to make a move? Or
I'm not really sure right now. The biggest thing, I don't know if I'm going back to Titan right now. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties.
We'll keep an eye on you, but hopefully you can get on a contender or something like that. You're off to a great start. Thanks very much for stopping by.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you to Belal Muhammad. We got to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to Malky Kawa, manager to many of the stars out there. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. All right, once again, happy Valentine's Day out there. It's a Wednesday, February 14th, and I'm sure you're all going to pay for overpriced balloons and candy and dinners and have fun with that. Good luck with that. But I'm not being bitter. Sounds like it, though. Again, thank you to Belal Muhammad and Askar for joining us here in the first hour here in the studio. All right, in our second hour, we're starting off with a super agent, I like to call him. His name is Malky Kawa, on Twitter at Malky Kawa, Malkikawa. He is the CEO of First Round Management, been in the sport for quite a long time, has managed a lot of world champions, some of the all-time greats. And also, quick plug, he manages quite a few NFL players as well, including USC's own Tyron Smith, who's one of the best linemen out there. Unfortunately, he plays for those Cowboys that I can't stand, but whatever. I'll get over it. He joins us now on the hotline. Danny, can you bring him in? What's up, Malky? How you doing?
How you doing?
Great, man. Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. Great to have you on. George Goes and Dan here. It's funny because, you know, when we're talking about all-time greats in the sport, shit, we could just be saying, who are the all-time greats on Malky's roster? You got Demetrius, Bones, Tyron, Yoel, some beasts over there.
You know, it's crazy that they probably are considered some of the all-time greats. I think Yoel made a case after he knocked out Luke to be considered one of the greatest middleweights ever to do it. Bones, obviously, and Demetrius, I don't think there's anything you can say there. And Tyron's well on his way to becoming one of the greatest to ever do it in his division. So, yeah, I mean, you know, I set out to become one of the all-time greatest managers. It's not the greatest manager in the history of the sport, and I think I'm there. You know what I mean? I could retire tomorrow and been put in the Hall of Fame in the first ballot, or whatever wing you want to put me in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It'd be hard to argue, that's for sure, man. You definitely have been around the sport for a long time, around a lot of great fighters. Malky, let's start off with Yoel Romero. We were actually doing a Twitter poll on MMA Junkie today as far as who should be next. You know, now a few days that everybody's had a chance to decompress and hear each other's opinions and shit like that. And Dan, can you update us? What's that poll at? Yoel Romero's leading the way, right?
Yeah, he was at 60% last time I checked, and I will go again to it now.
Who's the next closest guy?
The next closest was Jacare Souza, and then closely tailing him was Weidman, I believe.
Yeah. So we had him around 60%. What was Jacare at?
Jacare was actually the lowest, 7%. Weidman 13, Kelvin Gastelum 12, but Romero whoppingly in the lead, 68%.
So, you know, Malky, I think what people are realizing is, even though we had the weight cutting snafu, the guy went out there and he delivered on the big stage. He's got a resume that he's built up. He gets finishes. You know what I mean? And I you know, it seems like a slam dunk at this point. And can you update us? Is the leg will be healthy and ready to go maybe sometime this summer?
100%. Yep, he's actually in my office right now. I'm on my way back to from lunch to go see him real quick and talk to him since he just got back from Australia. But I mean, you know, remember before Ngannou, the scariest man in the UFC was or is Yoel Romero. I think he's a monster. Everybody knows that. And a lot of people had the issue with him missing weight, which I understand. I get it, you know, from a professionalism standpoint. But people forget that he took this fight on short notice. He prepares a certain way, and that got completely thrown out, you know, of the normal mix of the way he normally does it. And you know, still, he came within 3 pounds. I mean, here's the thing: people don't understand. He came within 3 pounds of the cut, and he had, I think, 2 or 3 hours from the minute he missed it until the time to weigh back in to try and make it. And he took the full 3 hours. Donna Marcolini sat in the sauna with him for another hour, and he dropped 0.3 after that. You saw where I'm coming from? The man did everything he can to make weight. He wasn't one of these guys that just showed up 8 pounds over and just said, all right, I'll try, and then, you know, came back and said, the hell with it, I'm going to try to fight at 5 or 8 pounds over. I mean, you know, it was 3 pounds. It was not significant enough to sit there and make it seem like, oh, he had some advantage or anything like that. And you're right, he went back in and he delivered. I got no problem with it. If this was any other fighter, I wouldn't have been like, oh, it's unfair, he missed weight or whatever. I just think that, you know, a lot of people sometimes want to hang their hats on certain excuses. And, you know, it is what it is. Nobody had to take the fight if they didn't want to. So, and then another thing too. I mean, you know, here's another thing I'll put out there. A lot of people don't know this, but Yoel Romero actually wasn't feeling well, and it was like up until 3 hours before the fight happened that I actually got confirmed that he would fight. People don't know that Yoel Romero almost did not fight. He just was not feeling well, and then finally he slept. Yeah, because he didn't sleep. That, you know, the time change was messing with him. He didn't sleep well. He tried to make the weight, couldn't make the weight. Body took a beating trying to make the weight. So he was trying to rehydrate, couldn't sleep that night. And then, you know, or he slept, but it wasn't as like the night before he hadn't slept, and then that whole day was terrible. He was cramping up, and he almost literally pulled out of the fight. But the man, you know, rehydrated. He went to sleep finally, woke up the next morning, wasn't feeling the best. He even told me, he said, hey, I'm not 100%, but you know what? I'm going to go put on the show. So just make sure you watch. And I mean, he could have fooled me. I didn't know. I just, literally, honestly, watching the TV, trying to see what he talking about. Like, is he really not feeling well? When he walked out, he kind of had this look to him. I was a little nervous at first, but then as soon as he got into the octagon, I was like, oh, this man's gonna knock this guy out, and it happened.
So let me ask you a question. Actually, one of the things we were praising him on was the fact that he seemed to manage his gas tank. He knew he had 5 rounds, and he knew that in the past sometimes his energy, withers, and that's may have been what cost him the interim title against Whitaker. But he has an amazing ability to recover, and it seemed like he was exploding when he needed to. He was managing his gas tank very efficiently, and then he was regrouping. But now that you're telling us this, could it have also been that he just maybe wasn't feeling it, throughout the whole fight? He wasn't 100%.
I think once he got in there, he felt better. But because I don't know how I could sit there and say he didn't feel well, and then he looked that great. I think once he got to the fight, he was feeling a lot better.
Yeah.
He just had told me early that morning, I'm not necessarily 100%, but you know what I mean. I'm okay. I'm good enough to fight. So that was that. But yeah, I mean, no. I'll tell you something. When I did an interview yesterday, they asked me the same question about him and conserving his gas tank. And what I said to him was, and I don't know if you saw my tweet the night of the fight. I said, I feel like Yoel has finally learned how to fight. As scary as that sounds, you know what I mean. And as weird as that might sound to some people, fighting is it's an intricate art, and it's not just knowing the techniques and stuff. It's also knowing when to go, when to hold back, when to look for, when you smell blood, when to kill,
right.
What's real, what's not fight. And a lot of people don't get that. And so, when you hear people say the term fight IQ, sometimes I wonder what they mean by it, and where do they calculate the fight IQ at? I think that Yoel learned something in his last fight that allowed me to see that this guy's understanding of the game, of the fight game itself, just went through he just showed me something different than I thought in this fight than he has in any other fight, and that is that I think he finally learned how to fight, because at no point was he not active, at no point was he coasting. I just think that what you're saying, he set up his shots, when he came, he fired out, he was explosive, he was scary. I thought he did, when he wanted to do something, he did it. His defense was awesome. You notice he checked those kicks. It kind of made Luke think twice about kicking. It hurt his leg, but, at the same time, you didn't see Luke kick as much after that. And you saw him just kind of strike and strike. I think they both had the same amount of strikes in the fight. Luke threw maybe a little bit more. Joel they connected the same amount. Joel's percentage was the same, was higher. So you kind of see that and you say, okay, if this guy does this again, I don't know who beats him at middleweight.
Yeah, and he has accumulated quite a resume at middleweight, man. Former champion, 3 former champions. He's got finishes. He's the 3rd round specialist, by the way. If you're ever doing the offshore gaming, man, just pick your 3rd round if you're ever going to back him. And now, of course, he gets another shot at the undisputed title versus Robert Whitaker. Are you trying to put him on that crazy card with DC and Stipe, or you prefer them on their own card? I think there's one in June in Chicago, or maybe after that sometime in August.
Like I said, I'm about to meet with him in about 5 minutes, and we're going to discuss that, and we'll figure that out, and then we'll go from there. Is June too soon? Is it not too soon? Is it perfect for them to headline that card? I'm thinking that might be the card, only because if he's, his leg is just a deep shin bruise, so he'll be off of it for this week, maybe next week. He gets to return to train at some point after that. And I think it's enough time if that's what, Whitaker. Remember, the thing here is really Whitaker. His health has been the one at question right now. Poor guy's had staph, and then he got the chicken pox. So if he's 100%, he's healthy, and he's able to train now before camp, then, you know what I mean? Obviously, I don't know if it'll be June, if it'll be July, if it'll be August. It just depends. But I'm going to figure that out today. So hopefully I'll get with him, and then I'll get with the UFC and go from there.
And then, Malky, another thing was, we heard that weight cut thing cost him 30%. I looked up, Nevada's one of the states that releases salaries. He made 350 G's for the Whitaker fight. So if he's in that same neighborhood, that alone cost him about $100,000. Am I pretty close there with my math?
30%, about 115,000.
105, yeah, something like that.
So
Wow.
105. Yep, like about 105 grand.
Yeah, and so to that I say to all those that said, "Oh, the motherfucker didn't want to lose the other 3 pounds." Fuck you. There's no way someone's giving away 100 grand. You're going in that sauna and you're trying. And just to connect the dots, if you hear Yoel at the end, it sounds like he's thanking Dana for going in the sauna. He's saying Donna, and that's what Malky's confirming. That's a UFC executive, Donna Marcolini, who went in there, and it's just the body could only give so much. Remember, Yoel was supposed to fight 2 weeks later in Orlando. So that's like a 2-hour, car ride, and that's what he was alluding to. That hey, I was supposed to fight at home, and things got moved up by 2 weeks. I had to travel across the world. I think you lose a day or two going to Australia, and then of course water retention. The fact that he's never missed, I'm all about giving him a pass. And then he goes out there and still perform, but he got taxed 100 G's, man. I feel like he already paid his dues, and he needs to fight next against Whitaker.
Well, I mean, listen, he's not really paid his dues. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I don't think I really got to follow that up with much. Nobody that I know wants to lose $100,000 over 3 pounds. The man wasn't trying to do that. You know what I mean? It's just and listen, there's guys that go back and try to cut the weight, and they'll go sit in the sauna, and then, they'll do it for 30 minutes, and then say, I can't do it. That man took the full time to try to make that weight, and in 3 hours he lost, a third of a pound. It was ridiculous at some point, and you know what? Hey, he tried, couldn't do it. The penalty he pays. But hey, he's number 1 contender, and he's getting ready to fight for the championship again, and we'll take it from there.
Malky Kawa, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio, goes. What do you have for Malky?
Malky, a guy like Yoel Romero, and even tying in Tyron Woodley, Demetrius Johnson, I know as a manager you've done everything in your hands to put your fighters in front of the cameras and get them as much attention as possible. What do you feel like on the UFC side that they could do better to promote these guys?
I think it's funny because the UFC actually does a real good job of promoting guys, that especially the ones that the fans want to see. I think what happens is people lose sight of the fact that a guy like Tyron needs a good B-side, right? And there really isn't a good B-side. So when you hear a guy like Tyron say, I want to fight Nate Diaz, it's not because he doesn't want to fight RDA. You think Tyron cares? He'll fight RDA, he'll fight Colby Covington, he'll fight anybody. Why is he calling out George St. Pierre? Because it's a fight that makes money, fights that fans will tune in to watch. Why does he want to fight Nate? Is it because it's an easier fight? No, Nate's a tough guy for anybody, but he's a fighter fans want to see. So what I kind of wish would happen is where there'd be a plethora of contenders at each weight class. Because it's not just Tyron Woodley. It's the same thing at 25. It's the same thing at 35, 45, 55, 70, 85, 205. You know what I mean? And then heavyweight. It's the contenders as they come up. To almost promote them like they were champions as well, going into these fights so that people can actually care and get behind it. Because a guy like Conor McGregor can do 1 million buys by himself. But you see what happens when you put a Conor and a Floyd together, they do 4 million buys. So when you get a good A and a B side, you have a fight that's compelling. People will watch it. So when you hear Brock versus John, does that fight make sense on any level? None, except for we're fight fans and we want to watch something crazy like that, so everybody would tune in. That's my point. People forget that this is a promotion. It's not the NFL. It's not a league. It is nobody. You don't have. Number 1 doesn't have to fight number 2. Who cares at the end of the day? Let's be honest. You get where I'm coming from? And that's the problem. So when you look at the UFC side, you want to make the biggest fights there is possible, but at the same time, you want to have some integrity in the sport. So you want one to fight 2. If you're asking me independently from any of my own fighters or any of this stuff, what they could do better is number 2 needs to be promoted or appreciated just as much as number 1. And when you get that, I think you'll have bigger fights across the board everywhere.
When one of your fighters sits down with you and they bring up the word, the super fight, it's been happening a little bit more and more, but a lot of them don't happen, and they just get talked about. When you hear that super fight, is that music to your ears as a manager, or is that almost a little bit of a headache? Like, how do you take that?
Listen, dude, you can't ever be mad at anybody for being ambitious and for trying to make more money. So for me, if it makes sense, it's awesome. If it doesn't make sense, then like anything, it's a headache. But most guys that I'm talking to are just their whole thing is to be champions, to win, and to make money. So whatever that takes to get done is what they're trying to get done. So I think if you think about it, why are we interested in watching John at heavyweight? Why do you want to see this DC versus Stipe fight? Why do we want to watch Conor at 2 different weight classes and maybe even a third? Is it because he deserves it, it makes sense, or is it because it's what fans actually want to see? So when a guy like Tyron tells me, I want a super fight, well, that's great, but who's it against? Whitaker? I don't know that that's a super fight. You follow me? It's champion versus champion. I don't know if that's a super fight. Is it him versus Conor? That might be a super fight because Conor's not a 70-pounder. But let's just say Conor, was an interim 70-pounder, and he's the rightful 70-pounder, and then they got to fight each other. Would that be a super fight? Potentially. You know what I mean? But again, it's like you'd have to be a super draw on your side, and there'd have to be another one on the other side. When Anderson was going to fight John, right, when they were talking about that fight, that was a super fight. You get what I'm saying? You got the two GOATs to fight each other. That would have been, a super fight. So a lot of times people use the term super fight, and it really isn't no super fight. There is no extra sauce to it. It's just, you might be champion versus champion. Great, but it's not really a super fight. You guys call it that, but I don't think it's a super fight. My definition of a super fight has got to be something that's going to be, intriguing on a casual level, not just for the hardcores.
Malky, the super fights to just the case with each individual fighter themselves, I imagine it's a case-by-case scenario. But back to the promotion side of things, since you come from a unique standpoint with your obvious experience, what would you say, whether it's percentage or any other example you want to give, what would you say the onus is on the promotion to provide a pathway for these guys?
1,000%. I think listen, the word is promotion. The title is promoter. I think their job is to definitely promote, fights and to promote fighters. I absolutely 1,000% put it on them. I also explain to my guys, okay, that the cookie cutter, I'm a great guy, I'm a great father, I'm a great husband, I'm a great guy in the community, it can only take you so far. Fans don't necessarily, it's unfortunate, I hate to say this, but society today has dictated that you want to watch the Kardashians over Mother Teresa. Nobody's trying to, tune in to Joel Osteen every Sunday. They'd rather go watch, Kim Kardashian. So, when you guys figure it out on a very basic level what society's about, the more wild and crazy it is, the more we want to watch. You know what I mean? I think we can agree that Conor McGregor is not a pound for pound one of the best fighters. There's holes in his game, okay? And I think that there's a lot of guys in any of the divisions in his weight classes that could beat him. Not that he's not a good fighter, right? But the truth is it doesn't matter anymore if he's a great fighter or not, because he's become a big his character is bigger than, his position as the guy in the sport. Does that make sense to you? Like, in other words, who he is, like, from the character standpoint, he's become a star. He's become a celebrity. So he can put him in against anybody. Win, lose, or draw, he's still going to be the man. And that's kind of like, what I think he kind of did on his own. And then when the UFC jumped behind it, it took it to another level. You know what I mean? And that's what fighters got to understand, is that there's certain stuff. If you can be charismatic, if you can have some sort of game to the way you speak, I think fans will clamor to it. Okay? Now, there's always an exception. You got a guy like George St. Pierre, but he had I feel like when guys come from other countries, they get their country behind them, and that's what makes them, such a draw. Because if George was from America, I don't know that he would be such a big draw. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think if you ask the UFC, he draws the most in Canada. He pulls a lot from Canada. So instead of doing 800,000 buys, because 500 of it, let's say it's coming from Canada, would he only do 300 if he was American? So the other thing is that a lot of guys need to understand how to capture the American market, or hope that you're from another country. Because again, Anderson wasn't popular until he knocked out Vitor. You know what I mean? George became popular, or he's always been popular. Conor was popular since day one in Europe, and look at him, he's become popular in America. He's probably the only one, besides maybe Ronda, that I can tell you that's really blown up to that extent. The other one that was on his way was John. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where the promotion put a lot behind him in the beginning, and they tapered that off as he got in trouble. And certain things he's done in promoting himself, whether it's through social media channels or through the fights themselves, he's been able to gain more attention and more popularity as time has gone on. So 1,000%, you don't ever take it away from the promoter. That's their job. A fighter's job is to fight. But I always give this example to guys that ask that question. When he was Pretty Boy Floyd, none of you watched him. He became Money Mayweather, and all of us wanted to watch him, whether it was to lose or to win. It's the natural progression of what he went through. And now, all of a sudden, you watch his Instagram, you watch his Twitter, you watch social media, and look what's going on. He's already starting to promote him and McGregor too. So, you watch how this goes. You know what I mean? It's kind of you kind of figure, you know what I mean, what it takes to get there. And I just think that the blueprint's been put down. Mike Tyson was that guy back in the day. All his events were newsworthy. He had a press conference. You watched. Why did we watch? Because Mike Tyson was going to say something intelligent, or was it because he was going to say something so crazy that it might have started a fight, and the press conference became, important television? His weigh-ins were important television. His fight was important television. Mike Tyson was bigger than life. That's my point. And so, was Don King the guy behind that? He might have told them what to do, but Mike Tyson did all that. So there's a portion of this where you want the promoter to promote, but I also believe that fighters have to find their swag in this thing and make it to where it almost becomes where they don't need a promoter.
Last question from me, Malky. I'm on board with what you're saying, and it's great insight as far as how these meetings. You're on your way to talk to UL now. How these meetings must go when you're looking to tool your fighters. But just let me ask you this: do you just kind of turn it up to 10 with the current UFC climate, or has the current UFC climate, these more shows, this kind of saturation, has that made you from the manager side kind of have to go about your business a little differently? Does it affect that at all?
Not really sure if I understand the question.
Just essentially with the shows, and it's easier to get lost in the shuffle with the talk of oversaturation, all the shows the UFC are doing. Do you essentially just pound this message home, the same message you just gave us, to your fighters harder, or have you had to adjust as a manager?
Here's the thing. More shows means more opportunity. The thing is that it's all perspective. So if I got a young kid come on the up, trying to come up, then the opportunity to fight as many times in a year is there. And to slowly but surely build to get to the point where if you're in that top 10, to stop and say, hey, let's do this, let's do that. The one thing I will say is that the UFC, for a lot of the individual marketing of the athlete, I feel like has kind of maybe not been there the way it might have been in the past, right? Like you're saying, more shows, more this, more that. But I do know that if I called and said, hey, so-and-so wants to do way more media, way more opportunity, they will provide it. So it's not like, it's like they're not trying to. It's just you got to think their PR department and marketing department is working fight to fight to fight. So if I've got a guy fighting 6 months from now, and a card that's booked in a spot that no one even knows is coming up, they're not marketing that because they've got a pay-per-view this weekend, for example, or they've got a Fox card next weekend. So when that type of stuff happens, it's like it's not that you get lost in the shuffle. It's just they're working on a constant basis. You have to be forefront in this thing, and listen, you look at it. I tell fighters all the time, hire a publicist that's not a fight-related publicist. Go get someone that's, in the game that does, the next level stuff, especially if you're a champion. And, some of my guys started doing that. They started seeing themselves get out there in different things. You have to kind of do this stuff on your own as well. It's not just the UFC. And I know for a lot of people, they might not like to hear that, but it's the truth. People don't understand. The UFC is going to promote you, but I go back to the boxers. I don't see where Don King promoted Mike Tyson in a way that made you feel like, holy shit, Don King, did great. I think Don King built his name up because he had great fighters. You know what I mean? You don't see Don King wasn't bigger than Mike Tyson. You follow me? And that's the thing where I think that guys don't understand that you don't need the promoter to help you necessarily get to that all-star status like a Mike Tyson. Your work in the octagon needs to be. I mean, listen, let's be honest. If John Jones came back, we know he'd probably break 750, 800,000 buys. That's a real number in the pay-per-view business. We all know that the UFC hasn't always been high on John because of his issues, but he's still one of the most popular guys. I don't think he necessarily needs, some extra magic sauce from anybody to make it happen. He comes back, let's say he was to fight, Brock, or was to fight, Miocic or Cormier or Gustafsson, knock any one of those four guys out, or all four of them out, be the biggest guy in the sport. You know what I'm saying? And so what is it? Because somebody puts him on Good Morning America, or it's his work inside the octagon is what's going to dictate whether or not we're fans. Now, fans in the sense of whether we like him because he's a good guy and I want to get behind him is one fan. And then there's the fans that might hate him because he's been in trouble. The point is, as long as you have that dynamic, the love or the hate, you got somebody buying a pay-per-view. That's all you try to do. So what I explain to my guys is do whatever you can to possibly get interest from the fans. Yeah. You know what I mean? The UFC can only set up so many interviews and so many things if you don't maximize those out. Like what made Conor so awesome. The man said, I'll fight anybody, anytime, any place. He showed up with $5,000 suits, $100,000 watches, right? Yeah. Showed up with cars that he probably rented at the beginning, and he gave you this persona like he was Money Mayweather, right? But an Irish version, and he ran with that. And then when they gave him the microphone, the man was as charismatic and as intelligent as anyone, and was awesome to listen to. Remember, he used to co-main a lot of guys. He used to co-main John's cards, and he was in a lot of these big-time remember the pressers that they would do with all the champions?
Right.
He was just one of 10, 15 guys on the stage. But amazingly, it went from 15 guys on the stage to Conor's show. So, do you say the UFC promoted him, or do you say Conor promoted him? No, and this is no disrespect to the UFC. I'm just trying to show you guys.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Upset and pissed off, and it's like, dude, you got to kind of take a look at it and say, was it all UFC? Was it all Conor? Was it a combination of two? Did Conor put 80 into it, and maybe the UFC point? How did it really go down? What made us like Conor? And if you guys can answer that question to me and tell me, well, the UFC did all of this, I'd say to you, okay, cool. I think it's Conor's work inside the octagon and then his microphone work. But that's just me.
I would agree. Let me ask you something because I know we have to let you go. You brought up his name a couple times. Just tell us, when do you think the John Jones situation clears itself up, where we know more of his future?
The next week or so. Well, let me say the next couple of weeks because it depends on what's going on with USADA. We have a hearing with the California State Athletic Commission in the next, what it was today, the 15th, the 14th. So in the next 2 weeks, we have a hearing with them. And I'm expecting that USADA is also wrapped up. Now, if they're not wrapped up, I'm not sure if then we push the hearing to March or we still have the hearing and then wait on USADA. So that part, I'm not really exactly sure how it's going to go down. But from what I'm understanding, what USADA would like to do, what we'd like to do, is we'd like to have it all wrapped up by the California State Athletic Commission's hearing so that we can just bring, a closure to this thing, and then we can move from there.
You think he fights in 2018?
Yep, I went on record yesterday saying that Luke Thomas asked me, what are his chances, and I said 95%. And let me clarify why I say 95%. I wholeheartedly believe that John Jones is innocent and he did not cheat. It was my stance the first time. It's my stance the second time. The same thing like it was with Yoel and a lot of different guys. I would know. John has never cheated. John went and got, he's been doing everything he can to prove his innocence. Went and got a lie detector test. He took one. They administered it in an independent place that we pulled the name out of a hat, had him go down there. He answered all the questions. He passed, right? Looking at the information they have, from what they gathered, from what they've told me, it doesn't make any sense. No one understands it, right? So you pass this test, fail this one that is coming, and then pass the one after that. So, and it was such a small amount that, it came from somewhere that we just don't know where, and it was such a small amount that it obviously wasn't trying to cheat. The problem is you have a test that says you had this substance in you. So what USADA is looking at is like, how do we, move forward with this? For me, it's very simple. He's not guilty. He hasn't cheated. Your job as USADA is to test guys to keep the sport clean. Was this guy, did it give him an advantage? The answer is no. And they'll all tell you the same thing. USADA will tell you this, UFC will tell you this. So for me, if I'm running this organization, right, what I'm hoping for is that they do the right thing and they say, hey, you know what, time served, we're done, this guy didn't cheat, he had the substance in him, but we feel like the suspension he's gotten is enough, and we go from there. So if that was to happen, he'll fight in 2018. Now, why I'm saying 95% chance that happens and not 100% is because I'm not controlling it, obviously. So there's that chance that they say, nah, too bad, we're going to give you this or that or the other. In my mind, though, he's innocent. I know it for a fact. So for me, it's like there's no way in the world that these guys are going to punish him long. I just don't see how they do it. It would be an outrage to me if they suspend him, longer than from the time he's already basically what would technically be called time served from the day of the test till now would be time served in a sense. So for me, I'm just looking at it like it should be to a point where they say, hey, listen, you know what? Based on the fact, this is what it is, and therefore, this is what his punishment should or shouldn't be. And in my mind, that means he fights in 2018.
Last question. Will you be at the meeting that Tyron Woodley has scheduled with Dana White so they can hash out their issues?
Somebody's got to be the referee.
Was that your idea?
Well, I mean, between me and Tyron and me, have asked to speak with Dana. I mean, I think it's just, the thing is, I'm personally don't like the public disputes. I've never really been one to put, the disputes out in the open like that. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think, from either their side or from our side. I don't like it. I've never really liked it. I kind of like to do a lot of this stuff behind the scenes and just keep going forward. Sometimes you got to kind of go to the public with it because, things get said, things get done, and then, everybody gets pissed off. So when things like this happen, it's best to kind of just, get everybody together, sit down and talk. Let's just try to get everybody's goals out and see how we can help each other out. You know what I mean? And that's what my goal is going to be, is to get Dana and Tyron on the same page to really honestly, move forward from this period of time that, they've been in, between who's fighting whom, this, that, and the other. Because at the end of the day, here's what people don't get. Tyron has never turned down a fight that he's been offered. He's technically not been offered a fight yet. Mm-hmm. He just came out and said, hey, I want to fight this guy who's going around saying that there's a fight been offered for this and that and the other. So at the end of the day, all I'm sitting here saying is, you know what I mean, Tyron's going to do what Tyron does. Dana's going to do what Dana does. I'm, hopefully getting a meeting with them too so that we can get down and hash this out so it's not two guys doing two separate things and everybody can get on the same page. Because I think, again, this goes back to the promotion of it. You want to promote a fighter wants to be promoted. How do we make this work and what's the game plan? I think we'll get that together and we'll go from there.
Mm-hmm. Malky, it's great catching up with you. Congrats on all your success. I love seeing all these great MMA fighters on your roster. And the NFL, man, you guys are really bringing it there as well. So thank you for the time here on MMA Junkie Radio, and we'll talk to you soon.
Brother, thank you.
All right, we'll see you. All right, folks, we got to take a break. Big shout-out to Lou for setting that one up. And thank you to Malky Kawa for his time. Follow him on Twitter, at Malky Kawa. First Round Management is the name of his outfit, and he's got quite a lot of great fighters there, man. I mentioned Romero, Tyron Woodley, Anthony Pettis, Mike Perry, George Masvidal, Yo Romero, I said Yo Romero, John Jones. The list goes on and on. Really some beastly fighters, including the Black Beast himself, Derek Lewis. It's break time here, MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Russia 93. Stay close. We'll be back, and we'll run through some calls. Call in 866-522-2846. Right, Dan?
That's good. That's good. Yeah, he's
Get 30, he gets
No, I get 5. He gets 20.
Yeah, you. Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes? Thank you.
Start your day with SiriusXM. Enable the SiriusXM skill on your Amazon device. Then tell Alexa to set an alarm for your favorite channel, and you'll wake up to the sounds of SiriusXM. With SiriusXM and Alexa, you get the latest sports news each morning without picking up your phone or turning on the TV. All right. Again, big thanks to Lou DeBono for helping me get Malky on the show. And believe it or not, I got to thank Ali Abdelaziz for putting me in touch with Belal Muhammad and Askar.
Oh,
He was very open and said, I don't represent these guys. He goes, I just know them, and I thought they were in town, and you may want to have them. And I said, yeah, cool. So
love that.
Just want to make sure, because I know the agents sometimes, you know, they're always wondering who's talking to who, and he was very, very open about that these weren't his guys, but he thought he'd be a good fit, because I run into him a lot at Extreme Couture. So, and both guys were really cool, weren't they?
Super nice, yeah.
I was not expecting that out of Belal. I was expecting a little bit more of a serious character, you know, but something about his smile and the glasses, he was kind of like being goofy with us. I don't mean to imply that that made him goofy. I'm just saying we were just goofing around and having a good time. It was a lively conversation. It wasn't who was I expecting? I was expecting
not Luke Rockhold Fight Week, right?
No, not Luke Rockhold Fight Week. Just
John McDessie?
Yeah, something like that. Just a little bit more dry, to the point. But he was a character, man. He told some great stories and kept it real, you know, in terms of what he wants next and who and why this makes sense and why this doesn't make sense. But let's jump on some calls, and then we got to wrap things up. We'll talk to Marco in Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco? How you doing?
Marco from Waco. ¿Qué pasa, vatos?
¿Qué pasa, man?
¿Qué onda?
I'm not doing good, brother. So my bank account got hacked, and they took $1,000 from it. So I spent all morning with my bank, USA, getting the profile change. They reimbursed my money. That is the good news. They had to change my credit card. And it didn't just happen to me. It happened to like 3 or 4 people that we know here in Waco. And only enough all these attacks are coming from Kuwait. So if you got like getting information that somebody's trying to log in your account from Kuwait, yeah, it's happening a lot, dude. Remember that not long ago, we got that Equifax data mining, that shit happened? A lot of people are getting freaking their bank accounts hacked, man. So keep an eye, guys. I'm giving you the warning.
You know, I'm one of those guys that checks it every day, but not because of that, just because I just want to make sure of where I'm at, where I am. I don't know why. I just do it. And it is good advice to always be on top of it. And, you know, you definitely don't want to let a whole month go by or something. I know some people just pay their bills once a month and whatever. For whatever reason, I just check things out, and that's it. I have one big credit card, and then I check my checking. But
have you been hacked?
Sorry to hear that. No, I haven't. I've never been hacked, but I don't want to be. So all respect to the hackers out there. You guys are great at what you do, but take me out of the equation.
Valentine's Day, hackers.
Go hack some bad people.
Go hackers.
Yay, anonymous.
All right, Marco. What else?
It's not Stonga Monday, but it's Stonga that motherfucker anyway.
Hey, no. Stuff went down.
They probably had a bad day, Marco.
Right. Let the people in Kuwait, you know, we don't want to make them any more angry. Sucks what happened to you, but you got the money back.
Yeah. Hey, so we got 2 weeks of events.
Stop right there. Stop right there. I just thought of something. What if they put an extra $1,000 in your account?
In mine?
Yeah.
I'd be stoked.
With a little winky, like, hey, thanks for the love.
Oh, they'd have a segment every week, wouldn't they? This breakdown brought to you by Los Hackers.
Yeah, right.
Like, what would you like? Would you go out of your way to thank them, or you keep it to yourself, or like that's what I'm wondering? Huh?
I go out of my
thank
way.
them, and if there's another $1,000, you start thanking them every day.
Yeah.
Now, at some point, you're being public about the fact that they're throwing money in you. Like, can that get you in trouble, or I don't even know.
I'd find it
would be cool to have like a Robin Hood hacker, right? He takes it from bad people and infiltrates. Yeah, all right. I'm not making sense here. What do you want to know, Marco?
Yeah, 2 weeks event this weekend, man. We got Bellator on Friday, and then with the Open Weight Grand Prix, and then we got, of course, Cerrone and Yancy Medeiros. let's talk about Sergeant Jansen real quick. If Ronnie loses his fight, I think his run through welterweight is done. And I'm telling you, man, I got the feeling that Medeiros gets it done. Tough dude, good striker. And we saw his last fight. He's a tough out. So what is your opinion on that, man? That's really what I had on MMA for now,
Okay.
I'll catch you guys tomorrow.
Thank you for the call.
It's a great fight because you can make a case for both guys. But I didn't have a chance to do my breakdown on the video this week, but I've gone back and forth with it. I ended up taking Medeiros, but I think if Cowboy gets it done, oddly enough, I think he gets it done with his wrestling. I really do. And but the thing is, Yancy Medeiros just never stops coming. He never stops, and Cowboy's going to have to be ready for that the entire fight. And sometimes Yancy just creeps up on you. I don't know. I ended up going with Medeiros. I think you guys took Cowboy, right?
Yeah, the mental stuff aside, because if we just leave the experience, the mental thing, and let's just talk about two well-prepared fighters that are meeting. What Yancy can do is, and I'm going back about 5 years, but it is a former teammate of him. I mean, they're still great friends. But Nate Diaz took away that space, and he took Cowboy out of his game and did turn it mental. But I said I'd leave the mental out of it. So let's just talk about the physical. And if he can leave that, if he can go in there and just continually put pressure on him like some other fighters have done, Cowboys just doesn't seem to be the same. But if they come to the center of the octagon, I sure would love to know if it's going to be a 30-foot octagon or 25-foot octagon. But if they come to the middle and they are, striking, but then replanting their feet, resetting and they get going, then that's where I believe Cowboy can thrive. He sets up many things. He throws leg kicks, but he sets up a lot of his kicks that way. So Yancy Medeiros will have to take some damage, but I think if he can get through that little force field, then all of a sudden it can be his day. Now, if the fight hits to the ground, I love both of their skills on the ground. It's just one guy to me, I believe, like you said, can win a lot of those minutes off the clock if this fight keeps progressing over and over, and possibly bank rounds based on his ability to with the wrestling against the fence to control the fight there, keep the fight there, or maybe even work his way to a takedown and look for submission. I don't think he'll get it, but look for submission. But anyway, there's just more things going on the Cowboy side. What's the funny goose?
You want me to really say it?
Sure.
I was just picturing you throwing him, making him belly flop for some reason.
Oh, man. I was thinking about taking a shot to the belly just talking about these two guys because both Medeiros and Cowboy have a propensity to fold in their body shots.
Yeah.
Which is another kind of interesting fold to the gunfight there. And now I'm like, I don't even want to see any of the guys get hit to the body because I feel like I'm so like after I got my knee popped when I see guys like spin out of a leg lock when I'm watching tape study. Oof. I go, ugh, right? Yeah, you ever do that?
Football season, all football season was like, every time there was just someone's knee
and
getting
planted on it, like yeah, man. I mean, it makes you more sensitive to it. So like, I'm thinking about it. You guys are talking about. I hope that no one gets it to the body this weekend.
Let's talk to Ben in New Zealand. What's up, Ben? How you been?
GG, I've been sweet, man. And this is one of the main things of the Junkie Radio Show over the last little while has been these fighters needing to self-promote and doing and saying things and separate themselves from the pack, right? It's your favorite theme. And so how did you like the post-fight Octagon interviews on the weekend from Tyson Pedro with a literal mic drop that impressively caught by John Anik? Tai Tuivasa sounding like a madman. I don't know if he was even answering John Anik's questions, but then he goes out and he skulls bear out of a shoe in the crowd. And then Izzy Adesanya gives Sean Shelby the "you know me now, motherfucker" treatment and tells the other middleweights he's in there pissing all over their cage.
Yeah, so when you win and when you get your hand raised, I'm pretty much of the opinion you can almost do anything. I mean, there's some limits, but you can pretty much do anything. And the crowd is ready to receive just about anything, including, believe it or not, drinking beer out of a shoe. Sure, there were some people that said, yuck, and looked away. But that thing was on ESPN. They were talking about it there. Others were, like, laughing and high-fiving. But again, do something. Do something. It is your time, about you. Maybe in subsequent fights, once you've put yourself over, you can remind everyone about that coach that's been with you all their whole time, or your parents that have supported you, or this or that. But those first impressions, man, make it about you. There's so many times where, basically it's about an average of 3 questions you're going to get from Anik or Rogan or DC or whoever. And if you're starting off by saying, hey, first of all, give the other guy props. Come on, everybody, get up, give him props. All right, cool. Now the next question, and you're already giving away 33% of your time. You know what I mean? It's got to be about you. I enjoyed them on different levels.
Before that shoe chug, though, he did get asked about 4 questions and didn't even come close to answering any of them.
Yeah,
hilarious.
And that's not the end of the world, but I think at least tying yourself to an event or...
But Anik's got to be sitting there going, come on, man.
Yeah, you're right. Tying yourself to an event or a future opponent, I think, is important. Tell them what you want. I'm 50-50 on whether asking for the bonus works or not. I'm more of the opinion that it doesn't. But there's just ways to get, like they say, I think they call it cheap.
Does it work against you, though?
And that's, hey, Perth, Australia, what's going on? I mean, that takes 3 seconds. They're roaring.
Shout out to the troops.
Yeah, anything. And the next thing you know, you get into what you want to get into.
Man, that Tai Tuivasa guy felt like Billy Bob from Varsity Blues. Like, he feels like that guy in the football team that, like, is everybody's favorite team member, when you're on the team with him. Like, he felt like that guy. And you're right, he didn't say much in the beginning. He just kind of gave his classic line where he goes, you never know what Bam Bam's going to do. But after that, the shoey won me over. Like, that was awesome. Like, I like Ben from New Zealand, for example. And
would you drink out of Ben from New Zealand?
Yeah, if he offered me a shoey, sure, because it's Ben from New Zealand.
How are you going to drink?
Wait, which MMA fighter would you drink out of their shoe? Goes.
Which one would you want?
You
I
have
want
to do it. Cowboy's boot?
Yeah.
All right, how about you?
Tell you the last fighter I would want to drink out of their shoe.
Who?
I love Derek Lewis, but Derek Lewis.
You wouldn't want to drink out of his shoe? I wouldn't want to drink out of Carlos Condon's shoe because he's always barefoot.
Oh,
which means
yeah.
he probably has
good.
nasty feet. How about you, Ben? Whose shoe would you want to drink out of if you had to?
I drink out of Rose Namajunas' shoes because I bet they're real small and because she's a little cutie.
Oh, my God. That's
that's kind of the route I was going to go.
Yeah.
Maybe Paige or somebody.
I am the feet master.
Anyway, what else, New Zealand?
I know the other thing is I'm 100% with you about giving the next shot to Yoel. I mean, I could talk to you guys last week. I said I want Rockhold to win pretty much just because it was a fresh matchup. I wasn't really in favor of one guy or the other. I'm a fan of both of them, but since he's not the fresh matchup, Yoel's the next best choice. I think the other guys, Jacare's the other choice, but he got knocked out less than a year ago by Rob, so
Weidman
it's going to be a fun rematch, I reckon.
Yeah, it is, buddy. We got to go. Thank you very much for the call. Always great stuff from Ben in New Zealand. I will say this, that had Weidman beaten another fighter after Kelvin and have won 2 in a row, I think he'd have a little bit more of a case to make. He just has the win from Kelvin, and then if you scroll down, there's the 3 losses in a row, including Yoel, so that hurts him. Kelvin, he's got the Bisping win, but all you have to do is scroll and see that he got the Weidman loss. He got finished by Weidman, right?
Yoel?
Yeah, no, Gastelum.
Yeah.
He did get
head and
finished.
arm choked. Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't remember, but he did get finished. And then Jacare really has the strongest case out of all of them, but I've given reasons why I think the tiebreakers just go in Yoel's favor. Yeah. All right, we do have to take this last break, then we'll come back, finish up with Showtime from Tennessee. It'll be his time, and then we'll get on out of here. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93.
They can drink Mentos-flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Valentine's Day is the time to sing about the ones you love, and today you can do it on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Be a part of Fantasy Karaoke by calling in and singing your favorite love song or hearing the best and worst from across the country. Get the call-in number by listening to Sirius 210 XM87 or by finding the Fantasy Sports Radio on the SiriusXM app. Fantasy Karaoke throughout this Valentine's Day on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, Sirius 210 XM87. It's like a tongue twister they gave me there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be easier to just go, hey, Valentine's people, go sing karaoke at Sirius 210 XM87. Have fun. Let's talk to Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime? It's your time.
What's going on, fellas?
You got a Valentine Showtime?
Man, that's another story, man.
All right.
Talk about.
You gonna sing us a ballad?
Nah, I'm not. I didn't buy anything today. Put it like that.
Hmm.
No gifts from Showtime today. Nothing but for my daughters. That's it. But hey, I wanted to talk about. I met Belal, man, out there after he fought out in Vegas, man, and the guy was just as nice and humble as hell. He actually sat there and talked to us, man, probably about 5 minutes or so.
Dude, we had a blast with him. I can't wait to have him back on again. If he comes back to Vegas, I'd love for him to stay 2 hours.
Yeah, man, he was actually, man, nice as hell, man. And man, for some reason with this Madeira's Cowboy fight, man, it's like I'm seeing Cowboy win this fight by head kick or something, man. I'm just trying to vision how this fight gonna go, because you're right, Madeira's, man, is tough as shit. He can
have
take
to
a
kick
bunch
his
of
head
punches,
off
man.
of his shoulders to get that guy to stop.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you basically have to knock him out. You know, just basically hit him and he's gone.
Where are the openings, Dan Tom? In 30 seconds, can you tell me where are the openings that the Cowboy can exploit on Yancey, striking only?
The main opening I have seen is the one that hasn't been talked about yet is actually leg kicks. Medeiros, they're both, susceptible to head body, but Medeiros doesn't check leg kicks from his beginning to the end of his fights.
Mm-hmm.
Bad news against the guy who has the most leg kicks landed in UFC history, that is Cowboy.
Yeah. Calf or thigh, either one.
Yeah.
Hammer away.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good one, man. Great show as usual.
Thanks, Showtime.
Thank you, man. Means a lot. Thanks for calling in and listening every day. All right, buddy. All right, folks. So we are going to get on out of here. Tomorrow, Brian Caraway will be our co-host. He'll be in studio. He's one of the top 10 bantamweights in the world. That's the 135-pound division. He's got a fight coming up against Cody Stamann. So it's going to be a good one. He'll be here in Las Vegas. And he wanted to be on for the full 2 hours. So I told him, I understand.
He's got a rematch.
You're finishing up the camp here, and what's that?
Against Great Tiger.
Yeah,
he does.
He was not.
But he was like, no, man, I roll.
No.
He goes, that's the way I roll. I want to be on for 2 hours. So he'll be here, and we'll probably have another guest or two. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Belal Muhammad, Askar, and Malky Kawa were our guests today. Thank you to all three for their time. We are out of here. Enjoy your Valentine's Day. No breakups. Go out there, kiss each other, do whatever. And we'll see you all tomorrow. For Danny and Danny Goes, I'm George. Be champions.